Hi everyone, Dawn Fisher, Morning Glory Needleworks. Welcome to my 17th FlossTube. It's September 1st. And as always, anything I talk about, there's a few things I'm going to talk about. I'm providing links in my description of the video. It'll say, welcome to FlossTube number 17, blah, blah, blah. And then you scroll down the bottom and there'll be links to there's a couple things I'm going to talk about. So if you're interested, you can find it also. And as always, I do not get any compensation for any of this. This is just things I think you'll be interested in. And I want to share it with you. And also there's links to my Etsy shop, to Instagram, the Stitch of the Month Facebook page, Morning Glory Needleworks Facebook page, Buy Me a Coffee bio link, and all that good stuff. So again, welcome. First thing I'm going to do, also, I always forget this, I break my video into chapters. That way, if you don't have time to watch the entire video, you can just watch the section you want to see, or if you want to come back and just see the Stitch of the Month, you can just click on the chapter. Again, it'll be in the description area and it'll say chapters, and then there's a name of each chapter and the timestamp. So if it's 6 minutes and 32 seconds, you just click on that. It'll take you right to that spot. So it just saves a little bit of time trying to scroll through and find the exact thing you're looking for. So meanwhile, I want to just give a little life update again. We're doing great. Life's good. We're so excited. Memorial Day, Monday, we're going to head up to the Webster Flea Market. I talked about that in one of my other videos. We don't need to buy a lot of stuff, but I do need to get some more of the cute little salt cellars I was talking about last time for the next retreat I'm going to, which I'll talk about a little later too. And it's just fun to get out. We're going to drive up in the morning. It's an early morning market. We'll probably leave, I don't know, around 6 o'clock in the morning to get up there by about 8 EU. So, but at least it's not cold right now. And we get there and it's a huge market. Labor Day is like the first big market of the year. That's when all the snowbirds, a lot of them have come back. A lot of the dealers have come back from up north. So it should be a pretty good market. So, and besides that, it just gets us out of the house and gets us around. So we're really looking forward to that. We used to go to flea markets almost every weekend, and so many of them have closed down. It's so sad. So we really miss that. And that one's nice because even though it's huge, they have motorized carts or whatever, scooters that you can rent. So Jeffrey rents a scooter, and so he can just drive around and not have to worry about trying to negotiate with his prosthetic leg and walker and everything. And it's much better for him. Now for me, I have to walk and haul our wagon around. Hopefully we won't buy anything big. I have no plans to buy anything big, but we have one of those collapsible wagons that we bring with us just so you don't have to carry bags of stuff. Hopefully we won't buy too many bags of stuff, but you never know. So other than that, I wanted to show you a new little treat I bought myself. It's a pin. Now, a lot of these pins, we take them and make them into needle minders, or you can buy needle minders or metal pins. Now, this one, I saw it came up on my feed in Instagram. And of course, now I follow them. But at that time, I don't know why. For some reason, it came up in my feed. I must have liked something they did. But I couldn't resist it because I think we've all done this. This is the company is called Little Shop of Pins. I put the link. The link will be in the description with their website. And this is I'm sure we've all had, or at least grandma had, somebody had one of these Royal Danish butter cookies tins. And this is the best part. This actually opens and it's like a little sewing box. Isn't that friggin' cute? I just love it. The only problem is it's very heavy. It does have two pins on the back. I haven't decided what I'm going to do. It's a little heavy to use for a needle minder. I may just put it on one of my stitching bags, or maybe put magnets on it, and bigger magnets, and put scissors on it, because it's a little hefty, but it is so cute. And I just love how it opens up and you can see all the stitching supplies in there. I believe it just came out. I mean, I bought this, I ordered it before it was even available. They do a lot of pins for like Comic-Con and those kind of things, but they do have a few other cute pins. But this is one of the biggest ones I've seen, but it's just really cute. But anyway, so I just wanted to share it because I thought a lot of you might be interested in this also. It was, I believe it was $18 plus shipping, which is a little more than I would usually spend for one, but it's so unusual and so cute. So I hope you like it too. Again, the link is in there. So if you're interested, you can get one for yourself. Now, I want to talk about last FlossTube 16. I had just gotten back from a retreat and I hadn't unloaded my car yet. So I've unloaded my car now, finally. It actually only took a couple of days, but I found some more things I bought or gotten at the retreat. Not really bought. I didn't buy much while I was there, but I won a door prize and there was some other goodies. So I just want to show some of the things we got. If you have not been to a retreat, I'm sure they're not all as good as others, but I've been to a lot of them and I always have a good time. It's just fun. You're getting together with other stitchers and they're there just to stitch, and everybody, you're all the same kind of. I don't know, even if I've gone to a bunch of them, I didn't know a soul and I came away with friends. So I highly recommend going to a retreat. I'm hoping to get into StitchCon next year. We'll see. I've not gone before. So when registration opens, I got to be sitting by my laptop and sign up. So, and that's not even till next June. So it's almost a year away. Anyway, back to this retreat. So this was a wonderful little gift that we got. And it says, just a little something for you from us, the Jacksonville girls. And of course, the retreat was in Jacksonville. And then there's some people from Jacksonville that put together these wonderful little treats for us. And it's Jean Leon, Melissa Neely, and Edith Katz. And it's a wonderful little kit. They made this, there's a little box here. I haven't even opened it up. I don't want to cut it open. But there's a wonderful little chart in here with a fun little, maybe I will open it up just so you can see, because it's so cute. It's just nice because you come in each day and not always, but there's a little gift or something. So it's a fun little chart for, and then there's a sign that says Jack's Retreat. You can't see it, but it would be, it's in backstitch letters there. And this is by Neely's Needle Nest. And it says inspired by inspiration. And you can see that there. Neely's Needle Nest. There's her email, her Instagram, and more information. But it's a wonderful little pattern that she designed just for this retreat. And it comes with fabric, which you can't see, but it's sparkly. I don't think you can see the sparkles, but it's sparkly fabric. And then there's floss and some batting. Oops, I dropped the floss. And then there's this wonderful, everybody got one of these little boxes, and there was 40 people. So this was very nice. A little wooden box that you can stitch this, and then this design fits right in the center. And you can set it out and put your scissors and other little needlework accessories in. But it's a little wooden box that they hand painted for everybody. So it's just such a generosity to provide at no, they didn't get paid for this. This was just a treat for everybody at the retreat. So that's a wonderful gift that they provided to everybody there. Then also at some retreats, and a lot of them now, they have like a freebie table. I said, I don't buy many patterns anymore because I have so much of my own designs and ideas that I want to stitch. But I do kind of look through the free stuff to see what's in there, because sometimes you can find something interesting. I actually found a piece of linen, natural colored linen. I don't know what the count is. It looks like 32, but I can always use a little piece of linen. Then I found this, this is a vintage book. I was trying to find a year. 1967, this book is from, and it is Lagatera embroidery, and this is a Coats sewing group book. And it looks very 60s with a tea cart. We all have tea carts, and but it had some wonderful, interesting patterns and stitches in it. Here's I won't be making any tablecloths, I doubt it, but it had some nice stitch diagrams. I'm always looking for stitch diagrams, some wonderful patterns. It kind of looks like, reminds me of hardanger embroidery, but and it shows how to put it on the tablecloth. And then there's all sorts of other patterns and designs, very detailed instructions. I know the price tag on this, there's a 50-cent and then a 25-cent price tag. I don't know how much it cost originally, and there's a name in there. Somebody got it in 1974. It says traditionally, Lagatera embroidery is worked on linen and is characterized by lively colors and absence of animal motifs and the use of geometric motifs suggesting a strong Arabic influence. The women of Lagatera, not sure how to pronounce it, a village and district in central Spain, used to meet in groups to embroider and make their own dresses and house linen, and it is still the custom for brides to have a large dowry of this work. So I thought that was pretty interesting, and just for a free design. I also picked up, this is from 1995, and it's called the Bias Sampler, and it just had a lot of really cool looking stitches, and I just love stitches, so I just picked that up. This is Kathy Holicky Designs. I just like I said, I like stitches. It was free, so I just picked it up. But that was actually all I took. There was a whole table full of free designs, but those were a couple that I picked up. Now, I did win a door prize, which I was very excited. And again, this was donated from somebody who had a bunch of projects kitted and ready to go, but then decided she was never going to stitch them or just donated them. So this retreat, it worked out really good because she had donated so many of these to be given away that there was enough for everyone to win a door prize. And I was almost the last person, but I was still happy with what I got. So this is called Brouhaha. You can see it. Isn't that cute? It's a dancing pumpkin with coffee mugs. And it's brew, as in coffee, Brouhaha. It's from Plum Street Samplers from 2015. This one actually has all the floss. So that's great. All I need, I wonder if maybe this piece of linen will fit it. It probably should be on a lighter colored linen. I probably have some more linen I can use. But I just thought that was really cute. So maybe I'll copy dye a piece of linen to put that on. So that was my other goodies I got from the retreat. Again, I had a great time. I've actually already signed up for another retreat, which isn't until November, but you need to sign up as soon as it opens, or you could miss out because some of them fill up quite quickly. This is a smaller retreat. It's in Port St. Lucie, Florida here. It's on the other coast from St. Petersburg. It's about 3 hours from here. So that's a good driving distance. It's just a 2-day retreat, but I am definitely looking forward to it. It's just nice to get away for a few days, not have to worry. I mean, the most thing you have to worry about is where are we going to go for dinner. So it's nice to just be away, stitch, have a good time with friends. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. And you will get updates after that retreat. I think it's around November 11th or 12th. So I'll be providing updates about that retreat in my November 15th FlossTube. So stay tuned. Next, I want to talk about, I kind of mentioned it in my last FlossTube. I have a new design and I started it at the retreat. I've got it over here, but it has a lot of stitches. This is the design here, the beginning. And I had started this at the retreat and I got about to here. And this is a beautiful 32 count linen. And I'm working with sulky floss, which works really well on 32 count linen. But this has a lot of stitches and some of them are very intricate and a lot are like over one, and it got very tight with the sulky thread, which is a 12 weight like a pearl cotton. So I bit the bullet and said, you know, I'm not enjoying this and I need to stop and regroup. So I started it over again. Let me pull it up here. And I've gotten quite a ways. It's a pretty quick stitch. This is another thing I got at the retreat. Isn't that fun? It's a needle minder. So it's got the magnet on the back, and I actually had my pattern hooked to this. So again, I've started this over. Something weight behind it so it doesn't show through so much. There, that helps a little bit. But you can see here's the original on 32 and this is on 28. So it's a little bit bigger, but it really is much easier. There, you see the colors. It's really pretty. The 28 just makes the difference because there's a lot of stitches on this. And as I get closer to the end, I'll probably be updating you, but as I get closer to the end, I'll explain what the sampler is and when it will be released and what exactly it involves. But this is kind of a little hint at the pattern and some of the stitches. It has lots and lots and lots of stitches. So like I said, I'm having a great time. I really enjoy it because each little section, most of them stitch up very quickly. These are the colors. These are like my favorite sulky colors. I think they're from the button box. It's the same colors I used on the button box. It's the same colors I'm using on Stitch of the Month, which I'll be going over here in a minute also. And they're just very pretty springy colors. They make me happy. And that's the important part. So that is my latest project. Now, I look for a lot of items on eBay and I have what are called automatic searches. So every once in a while, some I get an email every day saying, hey, here's some of these. I used to do that with samplers, but then antique samplers, but I had to stop because I can't buy that many samplers. I have searches for, I collect Wizard of Oz stuff or something on my glasses or stuff from Wicked. Actually, I have my Wicked shirt on today. Wicked and things like that. So I used to have searches come up. I've kind of cut back on those also. And then there's a few other things. And I had a search that I'd actually forgotten about because these don't come up very often, but it came up and the price was quite reasonable for compared to some of the other ones. So this is my little special item for today that I want to talk about. This is a book, Plymouth Colony Samplers by Mary M. Davidson. Now, what got me interested in this again was when I was stitching the Women of the Mayflower sampler, which I thought, oh wait, here it is. I actually have that here. So this is the, probably a lot of you have seen this. This is the Women of the Mayflower sampler, which I have finished but not framed. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. I actually changed it and put, these are all of my female ancestors. I could not find a female ancestor that actually came over on the Mayflower, but they came over shortly thereafter around, I think, 1638. So I've actually traced the Dexter family all the way back to the first one that came to the US to me. I'm not a Dexter, I'm a Fisher, but my mother was a Dexter. So, and I love this saying, we are living in the tomorrow for which they wrought. So I did make a few other changes to it too. It did have a sign here that said Plymouth and Rhode Island and a few other things, but I always change things. So I did change that up a little bit, but that kind of got me interested in this book again. So now, compared to most sampler books now, this may be kind of a disappointment if you're expecting wonderful detailed pictures of samplers, because this is from 1974 and there are no color pictures whatsoever in the book. There are pictures and a lot of interesting stories, and it details all the different samplers from Plymouth, not just when they first came over, but through the years, through the 1800s. So it's not just, here's an index of samplers. And this, I'm sure you've all heard of this, the Laura Standish sampler, but you can see no color pictures. And it's not a real detailed, but it gives a lot of information about Laura, who was the daughter of Miles and Barbara Standish. And it says Laura was the daughter of Miles and Barbara Standish of Mayflower fame, a favorite of her father's. She appeared to have been a child of uncertain health, as were many in those days. She died when only in her teens and a short time before the death of her illustrious father. Apparently much saddened by the loss of an especially beloved child and only daughter, he made a formal request in his will to be laid to rest at Laura's side. So, and then there's a lot more information. So it's not one to just sit and read pictures, but it's, like I said, it gives a lot of interesting information, and it talks about more about Laura Standish's sampler, and she actually spelled her name L-O-A-R-A, Laura Standish, and this is a verse from her sampler. Lord, guide my heart that I may do thy will, also fill my hands with such convenient skill as may conduce to virtue void of shame, and I will give glory to thy name. Very interesting, to me anyway. And here's another sampler. This is the lower half of the Atwood sampler. They also show, now they're not diagrammed or charted, they're actually line drawings of a band from the Atwood sampler. There's a lot of other verses. Here's another. That's from Elizabeth Gooch's sampler. Here's Hannah Jackson's sampler. Sorry, it's hard to see, but the pictures aren't real clear. But to me, it's more, I like to read the stories because they have a lot of information about the girls that stitch these samplers, and it tells where they were, you know, how old they were, that type of thing. I like this saying. This is from Mary Spooner. The needlework of one most kind may you and I keep in mind. And that's from her 1793 sampler. Here's a very typical one. I love this saying. It says, Betty White Whitmarsh is my name. New England is my station. Roxbury is my dwelling place. And Christ is my salvation. When I am dead and in my grave and all my bones are rotten, when this you see, remember me, that I may not be forgotten. The rose is red, the grass is green, the day is spent, which I have seen. And you may think that's really morbid, but they didn't live long, all of them. A lot of children died. Obviously, Laura Standish died very young. And that was kind of their life. They knew that they may not live. They had to be virtuous while they lived because they may not live. And a lot of them, it's kind of sad, died in childbirth. You know, they didn't have all the things we have now. So, or the healthcare, I should say, we have now. But anyway, it's a very, very interesting book. I did put the information again in the description of this this video. Now there's no links. Like I said, I found this on eBay. It came up on eBay. I paid, I think it was about $25 plus shipping, so about $30. Another one came up. I've actually stopped the request because I got one, but another one came up and it was over $50. So you don't know. Now this one, where is it? It does have, if you can see, it's got, somebody set a coffee cup on it, but I don't care. Other than that, it's in pretty good shape. This is, I don't know if they ever reprinted this. Obviously, it's kind of a private printing. This was printed in 1974. The cover was by Walter Channing. Drawings were by Mary M. Davidson, who wrote the book. And it was actually published by the Channings in Marion, Ohio. But if you do a search for this, maybe on ABE books, I found a lot of older books on there that I've been looking for. You can do a search on eBay. Like I said, a couple came up. This one was the least expensive. Some had free shipping, but by the time you added everything together, it was about the same. But it's a great book for your collection and a very interesting read. So I hope you look this up and maybe get a copy of it. So now I want to show one of my oldest WIPs, my oldest work in progress, because speaking of Laura Standish, in 1989, this is how I store my stuff that's stitched. This is a vintage pillowcase. This is a scroll frame I bought in the 80s. This is, I started the Laura Standish sampler. This kit, I have the box here. I can't even believe that this was still readily available, and I knew where it was. I actually just talked about it. I taught a class online the other day, and we were talking about it, and I could pull it out and show it. I'm actually stitching it. I was stitching it totally reversible, the way Laura did it. I'm going to show you the kit here in a minute. Now, this is by Joanne Harvey of the Exemplary. And I was very fortunate. We lived in Michigan until I moved to Florida in 1989. And Joanne Harvey, I believe, is from Detroit. And she was in the process of reproducing this sampler, which was a little more difficult in those days. She had special permission to reproduce it. They let her in. And at that time, you have to remember, we didn't have digital photographs, so you couldn't just take a picture and see it. You had to take a picture and have it developed. So you didn't know if any of your pictures, your photographs turned out. So she took a lot of pictures of this. And then she came and, like I said, gave a talk to our Sampler Guild or EGA chapter, and said they called her one day. She had done all these pictures. She had it charted. And there's a lot of different stitches on here she had never seen before that she had to figure out. And they called her and said, we are unframing Laura Standish. So if you want to see the back, you need to come now, because it's like once in a lifetime chance when they unframe it and do a conservation style reframing, you know, just to make sure it's correct. And they, she raced back and took a lot of pictures of the back, which totally changed the color scheme because, of course, the colors on the front had faded. So she redid it with the colors, the original bright colors on the back. And that's when she also realized it's reversible. So she's amazing. She actually charted it. You can stitch it non-reversible, just stitch it how it looks on the front, or you can stitch it reversible. And one of the women in the class I was in, I don't know if it was Laura Standish, but it was another reversible sampler. And the woman had actually stitched it reversible and then framed it, specially framed it so you could see both sides. And on her wall, she actually cut a hole in her wall so she could hang it and you could see both sides of it. Amazing. I can't imagine, but hey, good for her. Obviously very proud of what she's done, and I don't blame her. But at this time, when this kit was available, now this was in the late 80s, and you couldn't get linen like you can now. I mean, 35 count, which this was very rare. That was about the smallest linen, at least in the United States, you could get. Maybe in Europe, you could get smaller. But in the United States, that was about as small as you could get. Silk was unheard of. You know, everything was DMC. So when I ordered my kit, you had a choice of, I guess it was all 35 count, but you could have DMC floss on cream 35 count linen, DMC floss on hand-dyed 35 count linen, silk floss on cream 35 count linen, which is what I got, or silk floss on 35 count linen. So, and the price went up as you went. I believe I paid about $90 for this. Now, I'm not sure if original kits are still available, but I have seen them on eBay or Etsy or other places where people have them. Now, this is the original kit. And like I said, I got this kit. I'm not sure if I ordered it after I got to Florida or what, but I got the kit, and it's amazing. This is the box, and here you can see a better picture of the sampler. And she talks about the sampler here. Says, we are very honored to present a reproduction of America's oldest known sign sampler. So this is the oldest known sampler. in America, which in 1640 was actually, of course, part of England, but it was America. So this is circa 1940. It says, perhaps no other American sampler holds the high esteem of students, collectors, and historians of American needlework as a sampler executed by Laura Standish. It says her delicate work is a reflection of the high standards in needlework and excellence that generally governed 17th century embroideries. With intricate reversible stitches, Laura fashioned roses, pansies, gillyflowers, and stylized forms above a moralistic verse. The original piece was worked on silk floss upon a fine linen ground of 50 threads by 66 threads and measured 7¼ inches wide and 23½ inches long. Now you can see mine is much bigger because it's on 35 count linen. Let's see, it says since 1844, this wonderful example from our needlework heritage has been preserved in Pilgrim Hall, America's oldest public museum. It has been carefully passed down by the descendants of the Standish and Alden families. Housed also in the collections are belongings, furnishings, and manuscripts and books owned and written by the Pilgrims. Our reproduction is worked in the 17th century reversible stitching techniques exactly as found on the original. We also include directions for a non-reversible stitching approach to the sampler for those who may so desire. The stitches used are variations of long arm cross, diagonal cross, double running, and she has the most fantastic numbered charts to do the double running stitch, Algerian eye, and a stitch she calls the Standish stitch. The reproduction comes gift box complete with silk or cotton floss, color photograph, needle instructions, patterns, and verification number. When finished, it measures approximately 11½ by 33. Now I've decided, if I decide to do this, I'm thinking about restitching it, starting it over and working it on. I have some 46 count linen and have it more what the actual size would be. Now that I've worked on 46, it's not that bad at that. You know, when I started at 35, it was like crazy tiny. But I just want to show you, this is, like I said, it's a wonderful box. I can't even believe I still have this because I lose everything or I put it somewhere safe. So I'm going to open the box up, and she actually provided, when you finish it, there's a thing to put your name, where you lived, how old you were. I don't know if I'll put that, but it's numbered. The kits are numbered. I have kit number 467. So even though I ordered it almost immediately, it's amazing that I was that far down in the group. But these are the beautiful silk hanks of silk threads, all the different colors. She has a number on them. This is number 11. So you would look at your diagram, and that is for that. But amazing silk threads, which were, like I said, hard. You know, you didn't get silk threads in that time. And it has a little notice here that when you finish stitching it, you need to write to the exemplary, her business. I don't know if this is still the correct address or not, because this is quite old. And they want to keep a record of everyone that reproduced it. So how wonderful is that? And then they provided, this is a photograph of the sampler. Yeah, this is the top, and then the rest of it. And then they have two different sets of instructions. This is for non-reversible, and it just talks about every single band in the sampler. And then it has all these different charts and diagrams, stitch diagrams. I don't even know how she did these at that time. You know, we had a computer, but computers were not as well known. So I'm not sure if someone hand drew these diagrams for her. I mean, everything kind of looks like it was hand drawn. There weren't a lot of programs. Yeah, this is, I mean, it's a copy, but the entire chart was drawn by hand like we used to do. So again, you know, so many pages and pages and pages of charts. It's amazing. And then there's diagrams for the double running stitch. And it tells you how to do them if you want to do them reversible or non-reversible. There's 2 sets of these instructions, one for reversible and one for not reversible. The sampler is stitched over 3 threads. So like the one I just reproduced, Sari Outfill, it was very typical at that time to stitch over 3 threads. So it makes it, I mean, if it's stitched on 40 count or 50 count linen or 66 count linen, this was 50 by 66. The linen was an uneven weave. So you figure 66 count linen over 3 threads is 22 count. That's not really that small. So, and 50 count would make it even larger. But I had to share this because, like I said, for one thing, it just reminded me of it when I saw this book. But then the fact that I still have it and have everything, including a pack of DMC needles for 75 cents in here, and all the stuff that came with it, I can't believe it. And this just sits on my bookshelf with all my books. But one of these days, I really, now that I've completed the other sampler I just did, I'm really, I really want to start this again. I have so many of my own ideas in my head, but sometimes you just have to do it. So anyway, that's, it's probably not my oldest work in progress, WIP, but it's my most famous one, I should say. So on to Stitch of the Month. I'm very excited. It's the 1st of September. So it's time for a new Stitch of the Month. I always enjoy this part because I have to figure out what stitch or stitches am I going to do this month. And so I decided to do this month. We have 2 different stitches. They're similar, but they're different. And here is, I actually did them last month. Remember, I forgot to stitch mine. So this month I sat and made sure I had it stitched. So here's, excuse the hoop marks because it's still a work in progress. This is the row here. You can see it if I can get it in focus. And these are stars. They're 5-pointed stars and 4-pointed stars. And I was looking at the Star Spangled sampler that I have. And the 5-pointed stars are used on that sampler. I have 2 different sizes. And I thought about doing the 2 different sizes, but then I thought I would do the 4-pointed and the 5-pointed stars on this, and for a little bit of variety. So, and these are also both on my newest design, 2 that I showed you earlier that I'm working on. So that is going to be our Stitch of the Month, is the 5-pointed and 4-pointed stars. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you, let me find I printed them out if I can find them. So Stitch of the Month. If you join the Stitch of the Month Facebook group, you will be able to download PDFs of, this is the September Stitch of the Month. Here's your 2 diagrams. Now you can see them a little better, what the stars actually look like. So here we have, this is the 5-pointed star and the 4-pointed star. And I have on here, these are fun. It's a fun stitch. I enjoy doing these. Now these could be used on patriotic designs. They could also be used on Christmas or holiday designs. If you're doing some nativity scenes or Christmas ornaments, I think these would be really pretty on that. And again, also the stitch of the month, here's your, this last band here, or the September band here for the stitch of the month. I've added the stars. A PDF of this is also going to be available in the Stitch of the Month Facebook group. So be sure to join. You need, please answer all the questions. I get people that join and they don't answer the questions, and I don't want to let them join because, you know, you never know. I've gotten some strange people trying to join the group that are obviously not stitchers. So I really am trying to keep it to just stitchers. So what I'm going to do, as always, I'm going to show a little PowerPoint so you can see an up close of how the stitch works, and I can point out the numbers and things like that. Then I'm going to do a live demonstration of the stitch, and then you should be good to go. So you just hang on and I will bring up the PowerPoint. Okay, so here we are. You can see across the top, that is the actual diagram. It's from the chart. That's how the stitches are shown on the chart itself. You can see they're each 2 threads apart. They're both the same height and width. They're both 8 threads high and 8 threads wide. And it will actually be 2 threads short on the edge because it's an even number of stitches. But the one on the left-hand side is your 5-pointed star. And you can kind of see how you do the base long lines first, and then you do the final lines all going into the center like an eyelet. So if you see step 1, you come up at 1, which is in the bottom lower left-hand corner. You come up at 1, count up 8 threads and over 4 threads and go down at 2. Now we're going to count 8 threads over from 1, come up at 3, and then go down at 4, which shares the hole with step 2. And now for step 5, make sure you count this correctly. From step 1, you're actually going to count up 5 threads. So count up 5 threads, and it's right even with step 1. You're going to go all the way across all 8 threads and go down for step 6. Now, step 7 is going to share the same hole as step 1, and then go down, and step 8 is going to share the hole with step 6. Step 9 will share holes with step 3. So you're going to come up at 9 and go down at 10, which shares with 5. So now you have all your long stitches done. Now you could just leave the star that way if you'd like, but I like how it gives a little more oomph to it and depth, I guess it would be, to it by adding these extra legs to the star. So you're going to come up at 11, which is in the same hole with 1 and 7. And you kind of want to be in between those two. Now I'm working with sulky threads. I'm stitching mine with sulky, so which is like a pearl cotton. So it's easier to be able to kind of have it go in between those two. So you're going to come up at 11, and then you're going to count 4 threads over from 11 and count 4 threads up. That'll be the exact center of your star, and you're going to go down for 12. Then you're just going to go around, and each of the remaining steps will go into the center. So you're going to come up at 13, which shares holes with 5 and 10, and go down into the center. Come up at 15, which is in between steps 2 and 4, and go down into the center. Come up at 17, which is in between steps 6 and 8, and go down at 18 into the center, and then come up at 19 and go down into the center again for step 20. And you might be able to, when you're done, sometimes I go and run my needle and manipulate the threads so they lay a little flatter. But it's a really pretty fun stitch. So I hope you enjoy that one. So next we're going to do the 4-pointed star, which is a little bit different. It's kind of wonky looking when you stitch it, but it turns out really pretty. As you can see in the diagram or the chart above, how it looks, it does look kind of wonky on the diagram, but it really turns out pretty. So we're going to come up at 1, which is, I start at the bottom on this. So you're going to count, it'll be 8 threads down, because the entire stitch is 8 threads down. You're going to move to the center, which is 4 threads over, and come up at 1. Now to go down at 2, you're going to count 2 threads to the right, and then count up 6 threads and go down. And that's step 1, 2. Now for step 3, you're going to come up 4 threads over and 4 threads up from step 1. So it's in the center on the left side. Come up at 3, go down at 4, which shares a hole with 2. Then you're going to come up at 5, which shares a hole with 3, and go down at 6, which is 2 threads to the right and 2 threads up from step 1. You're going to come up at 7, which is in the top center. So it's 8 threads straight up from step 1. You're going to go down at 6, or at 8, I'm sorry, which shares a hole with step 6. Then you're going to come up at 9, which shares a hole with 7, and go down at 10, which is 2 threads down and 2 threads to the right of steps 3 and 5. So there's 9, 10. You're going to come up at step 11, which is 2 threads to the right and 2 threads up from step 6 and 8. And you're going to go down at 12, which shares the hole with step 10. Then you're going to come up at 13, which shares a hole with 11. Step 11, go down at 14, which is 2 threads to the left and 2 threads down from step 9, 7 and 9. That's 14. Then your final step, you're going to come up at 15, which shares a hole with step 16, or excuse me, you're going to come up at 15, which shares a hole with step 1, and go down at 16, which shares a hole with 14. That is the entire stitch. Like I said, it looks a little wonky when you're trying to stitch it, and it does take a lot of counting, but it's a really pretty star. So I'm going to demonstrate that now so you can actually see how it all comes together. Okay, so now I'm going to demonstrate the stitch itself. This is, again, 10 count, or maybe it's 14 count plastic canvas, but it works really good for demonstrating stitches. And I have some, I'm actually using crochet cotton and a big giant needle. So this is, see where I'm at on the screen. Step 1, I'm going to come up at step 1. Actually, I'm actually going to zoom in a little bit here, make it easier to see. There we go. There, I made it a little bit bigger. So this, I think this is the hardest part, is counting all these stitches. So this, I've come up at step 1. I'm going to count over 4 threads and up 8 threads. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, so that is step 2. And I have a really long thread here. Now I'm going to come up for step 3, which is 8 threads to the right of step 1. It's 8. And that is step 3, 3, 4. Now, this is a tricky part. You have to count up 5 threads. It seems like it's usually an even number, but for this one, because you want the top bar of your star a little bit more toward the top, we're going to count up 5 threads. 2, 4, 5 threads. And we're going to go down 5 threads above step 3. That's step 4, 5, and now 7 shares a hole with step 1. 7 kind of looks like a big A. 8, and then 9, 10. So that's a really pretty star in its own. But like I said, I think this gives it a little more depth. So I'm going to come up at 11, which shares holes with 1 and 7. And like I said, you kind of want to wiggle your way in between these two. It doesn't matter a lot, but and then I'm going to come up in the center, which is 4 threads down from the top, or 4 threads up from the bottom, however you want to count it. So there's step 11, 12. Here's step, I have this huge long thread here. I got a little carried away. Step 13, 14. Step 15. Oops, I missed the hole. There we go. 15, 16. And see how this kind of crossed over. So you want to just kind of finagle it around, make it kind of so it's straight there in the center. And this is step 17, 18. Oops, get a knot in my thread. That's what happens when you work with a really long piece of thread. There. 17, 18, and then the final step. Just going to kind of work these 2 threads apart. Is 19, 20. Like I said, you can kind of work this. Okay, my neighbor is out there using a saw, so I hope you can't hear that, but I can hear him every once in a while. I don't know what he's making, but I can hear a saw. So that is the 5-pointed star. So next I'm going to demonstrate the 4-pointed star. So on your chart here, pull this over, you can see this is 6 threads. It's 3 squares, but it's 6 threads away. So I'm going to go ahead and start it just like it is on the chart. So 2, 4, 6. So that is step 1. Now step 2 is 2 threads to the right and 6 threads up. 2, 4, 6. So that is step 1, 2. Then step 3 is 2, 4. 4 threads up. Making sure I'm right here. No, that's what it is. I didn't go far enough over. So this is 4 threads over. I need to do my own counting here. And 4 threads up. So there, that is step 3. Then we're going to share hole for step 4. That's 3, 4. And then 5 comes up with step 3. And step 6 is 2 threads to the right and 2 threads up from step 1. So there's 5, 6, 7 is in the center top. So we're going to count up 2, 4, 2, 4. That is the center top. You can see it's 2 threads up and 2 threads to the left from steps 2 and 4. So that's 7, 8 shares a hole with 6. 7, 8, and there's 9. Now 10 is 2 threads down and 2 threads to the right of steps 5 and 3. I know it sounds really complicated, but if you're following the diagram like I am, it will make sense. So that's steps 9, 10, 11 is 2 threads over and 2 threads up from steps 6 and 8 and shares a hole with step 10. 11, 12, and 13, 14 is 2 threads back and 2 threads down from steps 7 and 9. See, it's coming together. And here's steps 15 and 16. Ta-da! So that's a really pretty stitch. I think that would be really pretty on some kind of a Christmas ornament, a bunch of those around in different colors or sparkly threads or something. But I hope that all made sense to you. Again, follow the diagram very carefully, especially on the 4-pointed star. It sounds a little convoluted, but you can see how lovely it is when it comes out. Well, I hope you enjoyed that stitch. It's a lot of fun. I just did a couple of them. Well, I did them on the Stitch of the Month sampler here. This is on, I believe this is 28 cut linen. I'm not sure. It was if you haven't watched before, it was a scrap of linen I found that's about 4 feet long. And I thought this would be good. The sampler is 25 stitches wide. So it's a nice narrow, you probably could find a piece of banding or a scrap of linen. We really only have a couple more stitches to go. So there's September, October, November, December, so only 3 more stitches. But since I'm probably going to continue this into the next year, I think I'm just going to go ahead and probably do like a 2023 and then start, because I have a lot of linen. So again, I hope you enjoyed that. These will be PDFs available in the Stitch of the Month Facebook group. There's a link to that in the comments or description of the FlossTube below. At least on my laptop, it's like below, and you have to click on show more, and then it gives you the whole spiel I put down there. It isn't that much, but again, I want to thank everybody who liked and subscribed, comments on my videos. It really makes my day when I go and look, and then somebody has commented that they enjoyed the stitch or just anything. If you have any ideas, future stitches you want to learn, other items you want to hear about. I have a lot of antique tools. I'll probably be talking about one of my antique samplers in the next FlossTube. And I want you to be sure to subscribe, because then you'll get notified when the next video posts. I had a lot of new subscribers, so welcome to all of you. Some were from FlossTube or from Instagram. I've gotten a few from there. And then of course, Saltbox Stitcher mentioned me. So welcome everybody that came over from there. Also, I want to ask, if you're doing the sampler or even just practicing the Stitch of the Month, be sure to show your pictures on the Stitch of the Month Facebook group. I have it set up to where it has to be approved, because I know in one of the other groups I was in, they didn't have somebody, they had it free where you could just post whatever you wanted. And of course, some idiot posted some porn stuff. So I'm real careful about that. So you'll just have to wait, and I'll approve it, but I just want to make sure we don't get any crazy stuff on there. But I really, I love seeing people, what they've stitched and what they're using the stitches for. and that type of thing. Any other comments, whatever you're working on, what stitches, what exciting stitches are you doing? Even if it's cross stitch, it's all exciting. And be sure, like I said again, if you have any stitches you're having problems with or want to know more about or want to have demonstrated, I'll be happy to do that. If I know how to do it. If not, I will, I'll look it up and practice as I do with all of these. So again, all the links are posted below, and thank you again. And I will see you on the 15th of September with a new FlossTube with some, I'm sure, some exciting information. Thank you.